Get my Alabama incest fuel.
Oh, good. Hello, and everybody. Welcome. We are the Podguyz Podcast. Woo. Alabama incest fuel and all.
Yeah, you know it, man.
You're joining us live on Facebook. Of course, I am Tony Kaz, followed by
Kevin Neary here.
And we have the Dunmore Daredevil, the epitome of the big board, the je ne sais quoi. The je ne sais quoi
is that
of the I don't know, everyone's dreams and nightmares. It is.
There you go.
That's what we're going with this week. My brain is totally spent. I love it.
What did you do? Did you just drink like Tang? What do you got there?
No, I don't know what happened. I know it's just for astronauts, but I don't care.
You're an astronaut where they're like, he must have money because that, no.
I'm spacey enough the way it is. Les Barquet. Season's beatings to everyone.
Oh, look at that. It's the COVID bat right there. Look at that.
It's the COVID bat.
You can tell which season it is, too, because the tree has a star on it. You see that, Janice? The tree's got a star on it right there. And I'm guessing it's a Christmas tree. You know, we don't like to play favorites around here, but if we were, hypothetically, I'd put Christmas up here. Hanukkah, I remember I got jealous of my Jewish buddy. I said, "You guys get Hanukkah?" He's like, "It's not as good as you think it is." I said, "What are you talking about?" You know, like, sounds really cool because he bragged like one day last year.
8 crazy nights.
No, he was like bragging about how he knows how to flip a match now, and we're like, "How the fuck do you know how to do that?" And he's like, "I'm Jewish," and we didn't know.
Yeah, he's a magician.
Yeah. So
he's a Jewish magician.
Yeah, pulling coins out of people's ears, then putting it in his pocket. You know,
like,
hold on now. Hold on. Try that again.
Let's get into our guest. Of course, we are joined today by a beautiful young woman. Her name is Janice Burt. She is a woman of many talents. She has done some voiceover work. She does linguistics for the court system, which is really fantastic. And you are a motivational speaker as well. Welcome to our show.
Well, thank you very much. I could tell this is going to be a very, very fun, very entertaining show. I am much looking forward to it.
Strap in, everyone. Here it comes.
Well, linguistics for the court. Now, were you watching that psychopath that ran over the people? I forget his name offhand right now, but you might know him if you're watching the trial where the guy's he's constantly interrupting the judge. He's got like a beard. He's kind of burly. Just jump in there when you know the name. If you don't know the name, this guy was going crazy. No, you're not. Now, he was speaking English, right? He was speaking English, but it was all sorts of backwards English. I felt bad for the court reporter in the room where it's just like, wow, I've never had to put all these words together sort of thing. But here he said that he wanted to face his accuser, and since the state of Minnesota or whatever wasn't a person, he requested for all charges to be dropped. And the judge was like, "I'm going to deny." You know that guy.
I remember.
Yeah. That guy didn't get enough attention of
Yeah, he decided to actually fire his lawyer and become his own lawyer in the case.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine if like Roger from American Dad or any cartoon character, Pickett, Bugs Bunny, for all I care, just became a lawyer for himself one day, and you're like, holy shit, this is real life though, because he ran over a bunch of people
and over all of the things that he could have done in his life, and he was like, scumbag, robber, whatever. He's just like, I'm gonna turn into a lawyer one day and I'm gonna defend myself.
Yeah. No, this is why I actually stay out of the courthouse. So I am a court certified Spanish interpreter, but I make it a point to not go into the courthouse if I can help it. And I'll do a lot of depots, going to attorneys' offices and such, but to actually go into the courthouse and do criminal cases and those kind of things. I mean, I've had I interpreted for a private investigator once and went to like Georgia and Mexico with him. And it was on a criminal case that was horrific. Like, I can't even repeat because it was just that horrible of a case. And so to me, because I have a sensitive little heart, being around these types of stories, just, I have to be careful what I allow in. Let's put it that way.
Now, for those of you who are listening in on your audio devices, of course, because this is streamed to every audio platform as well, that may not have video. Janice is very, if you were to visually say what Janice looks like, I mean, you have the very like.
Oh no, Janice has got a very beautiful face on there. She could totally do Law and Order, SVU, CSI, something to that degree. Very lawyerish, very educated. They say you can't judge a book by a cover, but they normally say it's the children who are very rude to people who have covered books that are like a little bent out of shape there. And kids are very very rude when it comes down to it. But Janice, there are some cases, like you speak Spanish, so lo siento, no más trabajo, me llamo Boblacito, right? Yeah, just basically.
Was that the worst Spanish that you've ever heard in your life?
No, it's pretty bad, right? I said I'm sorry, no work. I'm a homeless man. That's my best.
You've heard that a lot.
Listen, that's like the only phrase that has kept me out of any trouble with people that are just like, oh, hey, Chico. It's like, oh, lo siento. I don't have, especially. Oh God, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. She's finally like, whoop, gone. No siento.
But it has kept me out of a lot of trouble there with the Vados Locos gang of 1982's movie Cobra Kai, the extended version.
That's what always gets me too.
Yeah, I would
wax on, wax off.
You know what the weird part was when LaRusso was getting his butt kicked, and he went up to Mr. Miyagi and he's like, Mr. Miyagi, I've tried all your training. What do I do now? And Mr. Miyagi was like, I don't know. Kick him in the face.
Yeah. We're going to go with the most illegal move that you can come up with.
Is that legal? I don't know. I have no rule book.
I don't know.
I have no idea. Thank you for washing my car.
Wax the wood?
And the referee was just like, hey, you know what? I am just a substitute ref. I was told that whoever hits whoever first. Oh, Lord.
That's too funny.
Can totally do the thing. But we're a little late today, guys. I apologize. It's totally my fault. Sparky and Tony were doing their best to add some stall time. I just got done with the
entertaining.
Yeah. I just got done with an open mic down in Wilkes-Barre at the Heat. I don't know why they call it Heat, because the room was very cold. Not a lot of insulation. Didn't really match up to the word heat. It's but first minute of my set went into garbage, and then rolled along from that point anyways. We'll get Janice back in the room very shortly, I'm sure.
Well, let's cut into a couple stories while she's away.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's been going on, Tony?
You know what happened? She's choking to death or something.
Yeah. Have you been seeing what's going on in the news or no? When you bring it up.
Well, Kevin.
Yeah.
The thing, especially with Griner,
yeah,
needs to be talked about.
Gotta talk about it. It's the elephant in the room. It's the big one.
It is. She officially got released from the Russian prison for the what is he called? The Merchant of Death.
Now, Tony, I gotta make note of this. About 6 months ago, this was the same deal. Okay. Only difference is 6 months ago, they said that this deal was a slam dunk, and slam dunk and the WNBA normally don't go together.
No.
So this
Yeah.
time, 6 months later, they said this is practically a layup, and I'm like, oh shit, it might get done now.
Ooh.
Well, all right.
That's actually a pretty good joke, by the way.
Not bad. I tried that out tonight,
Yeah. See, I always thought that the merchant of death was such a cliche name.
Well, that's the thing, though. The Merchant of Death. Okay, so the name is a lot worse than what is normally done in the open arms market. I could name some Merchants of Death here for you, from Raytheon Technologies to Boeing to McDonald's, because when all your customers seem to never live,
Kind of true.
you would kind of be a merchant of death, right?
A merchant of death, yeah. I mean, if he was the caretaker of Care Bears.
I don't understand how. Okay, so America is okay. So let me get this straight. People that are angry about this deal normally are Republicans. Okay, I'm guessing. If I would guess, and I might be right on that. So their merchant of death is the guy they go and buy their gun from because they're pro Second Amendment.
Sure.
So now the specifications of what this is. Now people are saying, and they're throwing it out there. They're saying people are saying that people are saying that that the reason that Brittany Griner was released was because she is because of her skin color and her sexuality. And it is a
Is that what it is?
This is what they're saying. This is what I'm hearing, right? That's what I'm hearing from my friends. They say the only reason that she got out was because of her skin color and her sexuality, and then they'll throw an LGBTQ community and all that.
Oh, good for them. Good for them.
So I mean, okay, so let's talk about it. All right, let's throw it out there then, because now let me play by play real quick. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's probably safe to say people from the LGBTQ community in a majority will never vote for a Republican, right?
Pretty fair to say.
Okay, so you already got that vote down, right?
Sure.
Guaranteed to happen. You'll always have it. Guaranteed, right?
Every time, like clockwork.
You don't need to pander, right?
No.
Why would you? So I could take that off the table. Yeah, I could take that off the table because there's no way.
Janice, there is no choking and dying on this show, by the way.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I just had the worst coughing attack fit that it lasted that entire time, where I'm just hacking up a lung, but I'm back.
Okay,
back.
good.
All right.
I was thinking, I'm thinking, wow, we really went off the rails on something, and she's out now.
She's pissed.
That's good.
Yeah,
yeah she's.
Yeah, I was thinking the joke wasn't even that funny. You know,
it wasn't even that good.
It was okay. I'm like, man, maybe she's trying to get the hell out of there. You know, so there have been a lot of cases of COVID rising up now, and I think that the majority of people are tired of the quarantining and all that nice stuff, to the point where they just say to themselves, "Fuck it, just kill me already." That seems to be the next step in. And everything, but hopefully it's I have had coughing here and there too, but so Tony, like we were saying, it can't be political. It can't be to get votes, because you already got those votes, right?
Oh yeah.
And then the other dude so Merchant of Death dude, right? Apparently the reason that he got in trouble was because the same African country he was going to sell it to. Now I don't have all the details, but I did see the movie, Nicolas Cage, Lord of War. Okay.
Yeah.
So This is what happened in the movie, and true to real life, according to Nicolas Cage, that in a week's time, a new country had rebelled up from that country in the continent of Africa. And then it was America came in to try to help out the original country. Dude's already there with the weapons. And they're like, hey, give us the weapons or we're going to shoot you anyways. And he's like, okay. I'm keeping the money anyways, because whatever, I need to keep inventory the same. And America came up to him and said, hey, dude, those bullets were coming at us and they had your name on it. And he's like, well, that's probably a thing. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, you're going to fucking jail. And they grab him up and throw him in jail. Because if you are a arms merchant, normally that's just seen worldwide as a businessman. Now, although your business could be corrupt at any level.
No,
I'm not. Now, and then I've heard the talking point of, why haven't we gotten out Paul Whelan? So Paul Whelan is a former Marine and has citizenship to 4 countries: Canada, Ireland, England, and America. Okay. Half Canada and Ireland, that Canada and Ireland don't have a prisoner transfer treaty agreement signed with Russia. So you can't do it. Russia's idea was to get another prisoner that they have right now in Germany for Paul Whelan, rather than Paul Whelan for a businessman that we've been holding that had about 10 years left to go on his 25-year sentence. We've had him for 15 years. Any contact that he does know is definitely dead by now. So this is just more of a symbolic exchange of people. One of these days we're all going to come to our senses, agree that we're all humans that sometimes speak different languages, and figure out that maybe the biggest thing that's messing us up is when attaching value to a piece of paper and on how much we should care for each other as a species altogether. But we are thousands of years away from that idea. I mean, fucking thousands.
It's true.
We could get distracted with a slap in the face at the Oscars and a blonde woman lying about cutting off Johnny Depp's fingers in a heartbeat. Like, Ukraine, what? Hold on now. Hold the fuck on. We got Chris Rock to slap somebody. Or no, Will Smith slap somebody. And oh, shit.
True. Sparky, speaking of distractions, what do you have on the big board, brother? Breaking news, Brittany Griner traded for Nicolas Cage. Go see my movie.
Man, you know what? That would be a fair trade right there.
Yeah,
Russia gets Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage would be like, I am him. And you're like, no, you're not. Get out of here, Nicolas Cage.
You're doing nothing.
Talk about getting into the role, right?
Perfect. So Janice, tell us a little bit about yourself, of course. Now I know that you do motivational speaking, and you do talk about, of course, irrational fears and public speaking and doing things out in public in general. But why don't you highlight a little bit about it?
Yes. So I think the reason I'm so passionate about that is because for years I lived in kind of what I feel like is a prison. And it was actually a prison kind of my own making, because it's a prison of fear. And I know a lot of people deal with different types of fears, but for me, it felt like as I would give in to one fear, then I would have these others, and it was this domino effect of then just being completely imprisoned by fear. And so after my divorce actually was my kind of moment of truth, where it's like, okay, you can't be codependent anymore, because I was very codependent, people pleasing, insecure, not a solid sense of self, that kind of thing.
You were here, and then you got knocked down. Emotionally, physically, like just knocked down to the point.
I was interpreting it that she was here and she needed to get herself to here. Is that?
So yes, I would say I started more here, and then, like at my rock bottom was the divorce. But leading up to that, how life throws these things at you. Like, just for an example, when I was in high school, I loved speaking, even back then. So I joined the speaking competition and got to the finals. And I'm there in the finals, and we all have kind of a story like this, I feel like, where something happens in your youth that just is traumatizing, or it does something to you, right? So
Sure.
I'm in the middle of my speech. I know this speech like the back of my hand. And then my mind goes completely blank because I'm super nervous, apparently. And I lose the speech and look like a fool because I forget my lines. So from that moment on, I literally did not do any public speaking or acting or the things that I loved and was passionate about for about 20 years. All because I felt like a failure, and then I didn't want to feel that way again.
It's like a, is it somewhat of like I just wrote this down so that way I wouldn't forget it. And is it somewhat of like an inability to handle trauma due to and causing mental illness due to due to anxiety causing due to anxiety causing a base mental illness of fear? Is it anything like that?
Dr. Neary in the house, please.
Something like that. Something like that. Something like that, because normally when it starts off as a traumatic event, we're never actually told or even equipped with the ideas of how to handle a traumatic event correctly, right? Normally it goes ignored and shoved into the back drawer, right? Unfortunately, your body and your brain are still going to recognize it as a traumatic event unresolved, creating anxiety built up, and then you get some weird little rituals going on. Obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolar disorder, any kind of lashing out, or maybe in your case, since you're a woman, and I'm sorry, like not trying to be gender specific on this, in your case, society would then push you towards a social agreement to a man to resolve any of these issues. So that way you get married, you're feeling a little bit better about the idea, and you're like, oh, it was that the whole time, and it never actually was. It was more like putting a Band-Aid on a hemophiliac sort of thing, because the blood's still going to come out situation. Am I close on that or no?
Yes, you are absolutely close. And I will say one of the things, so speaking of these traumatic events that we don't know how to process, as I said before, I don't know if we were actually recording or I said it before the recording, but my parents were missionaries in Mexico City, which is why I lived there. And then it turns out years later, I find out that my dad is gay and is actually living a double life this entire time when we're living down there.
As a missionary as well.
And a missionary. So basically saying one thing, doing the complete opposite. Wow. And I learned of this when I was 16 years old. And I remember, and my parents took us to Carl's Jr., by the way, to tell us this news. If that
Carl's Jr., by the way, where you give the bad news and the good news. Carl Jr. is not a sponsor, could be a sponsor.
No, but thank you for the double hearty meal and Carl's Jr.
You see, Janice, normally people come out of the closet at an Arby's or a Wendy's, but Carl Jr.'s.
That's true.
You're down south right there.
That's a new one for us.
Hey, you're lucky it wasn't at a fucking Winn-Dixie since you're in the air.
Or a Buc-ee's.
A Buc-ee's, yeah. Well, kids, we brought you here because something about your mom and a beaver. I don't know. I'll leave you to it. I'm going to walk around and pretend like my life doesn't exist in the gift shop for a while. Okay?
Yeah. He's like walking through the gift shop like it's a what the hell's the name of that show? Country Junction.
Country Junction.
Yeah, it wasn't quite appropriate, if you ask me. Like, here, we're going to take you out to tell you this huge news. And that I remember even thinking, I don't know how to process this. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's like telling me that my dog's an alien or something. Like, I couldn't quite process it. So I really did just put it in some back file in my brain to not be accessed again, but obviously in my subconscious. And I mean, I knew it was there, but it's the sweeping things under the rug that I feel like is detrimental, because people think that those things are going away, or they numb it out with different things, but that stuff is still there, and it shows up in our bodies later. It shows up, I believe, in some diseases and illnesses and different things like that happen later on in life.
Well, the society is built up so traditionally on a value of a man and a woman and all that nice stuff, which, it's a Puritan belief to some degree, and it's a religious belief on other sides, but it goes against biology of how people actually are sometimes, because some people are gay and some people are bisexual. Some people feel like they might be a woman in a man's body, a man in a woman's body. People, and that's just brain biology. Like when people talk about science and stuff, it's like, well, you know what? I have an argument for that, and people want to shut the book to that idea because they the consistency of tradition has run through this country to the point where you have a lot of blockades. And especially you're 16 years old. Well, now you're 16 years in. Probably you're at a good 10 years of consciousness of, because, you don't remember much when you're 5 or 4, or, you don't know the ropes, but you're a good 10 years in, which is much more, which is about like 60% of your life, if not 65%. I might be off on the whole idea. And now at a Carl Jr.'s instead of a therapist's office, I mean, I'm sure the cashier might have studied psychiatry and
Surprise.
working the fryers, because college loans are kind of, like, not only do I run my own practice, I work at the Carl Jr.'s as well, and the Wendy's, because fuck my life, but yeah, so that's
you get a PhD and a snack.
Yeah, so Janice, that's a lot to unpack right there. And, you want to put on at 16 years old, you want to put on that brave face and say, like, I get it. I totally understand. Oh, cool. And then I'm sure you got probably a whole bunch of, are you sure? Are you sure you're all right with this? Are you sure? Especially missionary. Again, you're in the deepness of traditional religion. Am I right? Is that the mission they got? And by the way, I want
Christian values.
Christian values, which, like they've tweaked that a whole bunch too. By the time it gets kind of tweaky.
It's got a curve.
You want to write a book on how to treat each other with kindness, and they're like, hold on, no one will buy that shit. Anyways, winged people with halos over their head. Everybody's like, oh shit, you got my attention, sir. Go on.
Do unto others as they do unto you. Wait, so if they hurt me, I get to hurt them back? No, that not the mentality.
I think. Well, what happens with the anomaly there, Tony? Because the stop hitting yourself. Yeah. Who do you? I don't know. Do you punch
I'd like to hit
yourself
myself every time I see Sparky right down on that big board.
Man, Sparky's got something on the big board there.
What do you got, brother?
There, Spark. Don't be shy. Whip it right out. There you go.
Sparky's traumatic event. Oh, evil living bush. Oh, wait, that's you, Kanye.
Oh, yes. The one and only time we've ever been flagged was a story that Tony, and rightfully so, still believes really happened with Kanye West dressing up like a bush to spy on Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson at the time months ago. Yeah. Facebook said that it was fake news. It was weird because
Janice,
Facebook.
Here's the funny story behind this, right? Have you heard of the Kanye and Kim debacle as far as them getting married, having children, them then getting divorced, and then Pete Davidson taking over as new boyfriend, together for about a year, and now they're broken apart now too. So you're all caught up on that situation.
Easy. Yeah.
When Kanye and Kim got divorced, there was a story that said that Kanye dressed up as a bush, a ghillie suit of some sort,
shrubbery,
hung out in her front lawn right by her gate, and was filmed at the front gate. Now, in this ghillie suit.
Now, Janice, it wasn't just any kind of shrub. It was a human-shaped shrub like you would see in Edward Scissorhands, okay? Like, it wasn't even much of a disguise. It was basically like he was playing Green Man from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, only added a couple flakes onto himself and went looking through the windows. Now, the Facebook did knock it down and say, hey, that's not real. So I'm guessing Kanye West watches our show and called up Facebook and said, yo, Mark Zuckerberg, they're saying I'm a bush. I am not a bush. I'm not a gay fish. I'm not any of these things they're calling me. I'm a genius. And like most geniuses, they scream loudly about how much they are geniuses, And then I guess the only thing to take down Kanye West was a reporter asking him how he felt about the Jewish people. And he was like, oh, I got something for you there. And it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Because he is a black Jew himself.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, you know, like he's truly mentally a little twitched up right there. I'm not gonna ask like kids at the Special Olympics how they feel about like, you know, Jewish people, and they're like, hey, you like black people, kid? And he's like, oh, like, you know, like, and then they say something off-putting, and I'm like, write it down. Look what he said. Ooh, anti-Semitism at the Special Olympics. It's like, yeah, but that's one of the contestants, and they don't know what the fuck they're saying. You jerk off.
Yeah,
you know, there's very little efficacy done when a microphone is put in Kanye West's mouth. But then again, he'd probably put it in his own mouth anyways. Eventually.
That's true.
I'm sorry. We got to get back. Let's get back on track there, Janice. So at the Carl Juniors, your dad tells you the news. You react. Put on the brave face.
Wait. So I think the funny route would be, how did he break it?
Oh yeah.
And was it just like, honey, I think we have something in common? No, don't choke.
I know, man, this is rough. So my mom apparently already knew for years and years, but this was just breaking it to us kids at the Carl's Jr. So my brother and I were sitting down eating our whatever they have at Carl's Jr. And I can't remember, chicken sandwich or whatever. And yeah, they said, and I remember it was my dad, and he said, we brought you here because your mom and I wanted to let you know that I struggle with homosexuality.
Whoa.
I'm pretty sure those were his exact words.
That's an epic thing to say right there.
Struggle.
Yeah.
Now it sounds like that's like a new drug on the street, you know, and you're like, damn it, Dad, get some help. You know, here is a Happy Meal. Oh, by the way, and that's kind of what it looks like.
Thanks, Dad. And nothing offensive to your father, you know. Of course, this is all in good fun.
Yeah, but how do you do that? How do you end up saying that to your kids did he do it before or after the meal? Did he let you eat at least?
We were eating. It was
meal. Oh, fuck that. What a jerk.
Oh.
They wouldn't even let you eat?
How are you halfway through a pickle and tomato, like where you're just like, I'm gay.
Yeah.
And I lost my appetite.
You're struggling with homosexuality. I'm struggling to keep this chicken between a bun. Well, wait a second. Cocks and buns, you might know a little bit about there, Pop. So help me out here.
Fuck, Dad. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was shocking, because had I had any inclination, I think it would have obviously been a much easier kind of.
So now that you're at that age of going through a lot, you're 16 years old, your body's changing, and now you're going to embark on graduating high school, maybe going to college, and that I'm sure you were also dating boys at the time your age. So did you then have a underlining growing suspicion that maybe you never know if you were dating a guy who might be gay? Did you think that to yourself sometimes, or no?
That never occurred to me, but oddly enough, so the boy that I was dating at the time that I married, we married young because we were in the church. So that's what you do. He was 19 and I was 20. And 4 years into the marriage, even though we were leading groups at church and doing those kind of things, he confessed that he was addicted to pornography.
Oh.
So a very similar, in the sense of it's a sexual thing that is not being he's not being forthcoming with, you know, it's like
everybody's
now was that now when he told you that, were you out like a Bob Evans, or you know?
This was the classier establishment, okay? It was a Long John Silver.
Like, did he tell your dad, and he was like, this is what you need to do, you need to find an offshoot restaurant franchise to go through.
He's like, I suggest Taco Bell,
Little Caesars, Bob Evans, take your pick. You're gonna want to sit down.
It'll be fine.
He's like, show me what pornography you're addicted to. He's like, oh, all right, well, I'm interested in. All right, I struggle with other kind of stuff here.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the probably exact same type, but it's still to me, that actually felt like cheating in a sense, because we were so verbally not doing that and saying that's not part of our relationship. That's not something that we think is like healthy for our relationship.
You're waiting for
yet
marriage,
that's
right?
What's that?
Oh, were you since you were in the church group, right? You're probably both waiting for marriage, right? And also you're at that innocent age. So I'm thinking like, all right, church time. So you're probably at that both innocent age where kissing is a big deal at that time, you know, and everything is at its purest form. And now you're getting hit with bam, dad's gay, boom, boyfriend's addicted to porn. Holy shit, Janice, this is terrible. Your whole world's falling apart. They built you a beautiful house on a deck of cards on a windy day, and it's falling the fuck apart. Jesus Lord. And he's addicted to porn. Where do you find this kid?
No, he told me.
Now, were you suspicious when his right arm was extremely larger than his left? And you're like, oh, I should have.
Wait. You're gonna have to finish the sentence that you just started on this one, Janice, because did he tell you beforehand or did he tell you afterhand?
No,
like after you guys were married.
We were already married for 4
holy
years.
Shit. You
for
can't
4
just...
years.
4 years.
Wait a second. Wait. Okay. So I'm going to have to just ask the next normal question after that. So on your wedding night, during the whole, you know, do you think he learned anything? Was he taking notes from his addiction or no? Or was it just like falling on deaf ears? He was just...
I feel like it actually negatively impacted him as far as an actual sexual relationship with a woman. It didn't even have to be me. Just
there you go, folks. If you are listening, stop watching porn. It sets unexpected goals.
Yeah, because I would just think from the perspective, if I watch enough baseball, I might learn how to play a little bit better, right? You know, just throwing it out there. But looks like if he watches enough baseball, he picks up a bat and he's like, all right, now what the fuck do I do? I've seen this a million times over. I'm literally addicted.
Strikes out every time at the plate.
He just like starts hitting the umpire and you're like, dude, what are you doing?
It's much different with the connection and the activity than a voyeuristic looking at experience.
And for everybody watching, if you are commenting below, like I said, there's a certain thing where you get into a relationship and you're setting expectations, you're compartmentalizing things as far as where you are in your relationship.
Well, Janice has lived a very interesting life so far. Like, and that's not even like, and how long, my next question has to be, how long were you married?
14 years.
14 years. Now
so you went 10 years after he told you that he was addicted to porn.
Wow. So like you don't really find you don't want to just give up on somebody. That's what people do too quick anymore. They look at something that they don't like, they maximize that to the point where it's never resolved. So you guys obviously found a way to resolve it, but you probably still had some more unresolved issues besides just the what his addiction was or whatever from that point. Am I right?
Well, yes, because then what happened is I thought I would be very clever in being a total control freak at this point, because here he's broken my trust. And instead of really addressing that, which was like the core problem, it was more just, we're getting rid of the computer, we're doing this, it's like this reactionary thing to try to protect myself. But also I shoved that under the rug because after the initial thing, I never really processed it. I didn't talk about it to other people. That's why I say it's very codependent, because it was just he and I trying to deal with this big situation.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that's never really addressed as much as possible. But people, no matter who you are, and when something happens, that's traumatic, such as, what we were talking about earlier. If you're just joining us, Janice was just telling us about how her father was broke the news to her and her siblings that he was struggling with homosexuality, and then her husband down the road tells her that he was addicted to pornography. But that is the one thing that really, it doesn't get out there enough when dealing with the shame of these things, because we feel as people automatic shame and, well, this isn't supposed to happen, so I'm screwed now. You get a run through of emotions, and then you say to yourself, I'm not screwed if I just never deal with it. So I'm totally fine, untouchable. And I'll just, and it just, the idea just rears its ugly head out little by little, and you don't even catch it until you finally do. And some people never catch it, Janice. It's the tough part.
Yep. No, I mean, I feel like life is this process and journey of transformation and kind of evolution, and just to be self-aware, like you were saying, and starting to see, okay, what are my patterns of behavior? How am I showing up in the world? How do I feel? What are my beliefs? Just kind of digging a little deeper into awareness.
Now, Janice, if you were to give yourself advice from now, to the younger version of you, what would your advice be?
Oh man, I would say before getting into a relationship, to focus on the relationship with self. So basically, physically, mentally, and spiritually, what does that look like? Who am I? What do I like to do? What do I not like to do? What are my values? What do I hold dear? What are my total, like, what are those called when you're in a relationship and you're like, I will not stand for this thing?
Values, principles,
core values.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah,
where's
it's
the
like
line
that.
drawn?
It's your, exactly, the there's an actual word that's not coming to me, but like know yourself deeply,
know your self-worth,
and your self-worth. Do things, travel the world, explore, be curious, because then you're not going into a relationship looking for validation and like, you're gonna complete me. You are a complete person.
No, that's the thing. People misinterpret that. Find your missing piece. It's like, well, wait a second. What? You don't have to be completely missing. Like Sparky right down there, for example. Okay, Sparky surrounds himself with everything he loves in that room right there. Nothing but Star Wars Funkos right there. Star Wars Funkos, not a sponsor. But yeah, so Sparky is still, believe it or not, a single guy on the helm,
on the prowl.
On the prowl, yeah. He's out there. He's prowling. Now he used to
He's
prowl on the streets.
something.
Yeah. He's
He is.
I can't wait to see that.
he's working on a masterpiece right now. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more when it comes to relationship things. And by the way, sometimes people just aren't meant to be with another person. The trauma can leave irreversible damage, and that's okay too. It's perfectly fine.
Freaking high five, brother.
Yeah. It's perfectly fine to just be by yourself and happy by yourself. It's just because it freaks everybody else out doesn't mean that it should be intrusive on your own happiness. Because some of the happiest people I know are alone. And they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't do any drugs with anybody. They just
exist.
They don't just exist. They're painters. These are creative people. They're musicians.
Well, no. People exist for themselves is what I was really trying to say.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. That's well put. Yeah. They exist for themselves. And it's never a bad thing. It's deemed to be a bad thing by those that are in the relationship tower, all called, their ivory tower relationships. Like, look at all those single people. Aren't we happy that we have each other here? And then they, eventually just, if you ever seen a couple around for a little bit too long, they look like they want to kill each other.
Yeah. Well, it's the part behind the scenes, but Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be alone than in that type of a relationship for sure.
Yeah, and that's Sparky's got something there, Tony.
Well, I was gonna say Sparky is the Alec King of the relationship world, so he has a wealth of knowledge that he likes to share with the big board. There's my line. No, stop watching porn, but I like being Carlos Danger.
Carlos Danger.
Sparky,
is that a porn star's name?
Sparky knows a lot about something.
He does. He does.
Who is Carlos Danger?
The election of 2016. Hillary Clinton was running for president.
Okay.
Who was her number one lady that was working for her before she quit?
I don't know. Who was it?
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman was working for Hillary Clinton?
Yes. And what was her husband's name?
I'm guessing Quentin Tarantino.
Anthony Weiner. Do you remember the story of Anthony
Get out
Weiner?
of here. Anthony Weiner was Uma Thurman's husband?
No, Uba. Remember the whole Anthony Weiner and...
I remember Anthony Weiner it was kind of funny because his last name is Weiner, like right off the rip, and then he was sending dick pics to people,
you used the name Carlos Danger.
Carlos Danger was his dude. That's a terrible name. Like Elliot Spitzer at least was banging a Russian spy, and he's like, whatever, and I like how he.
I could give you her accent. It's Kuma something. Kuma.
Anthony Weiner looked like the kid that was always picked on, and he always snitched on everybody all the time. And then once he had the ability to be a pervert, he jumped. What's that?
Uma Albadine.
Uma Albadine. Wow.
Yes.
Uma
yes.
Albadine.
They were married, and then what happened is he had to quit from the Senate, but she was helping Hillary with their thing.
Yeah.
And they still blame, all that whole thing blowing up because they said, well, if Anthony Weiner's involved with Hillary Clinton, what was Bill doing?
We spent too much time on Weiner and not enough time speeding up here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. Like, how the best thing Hillary could have done for her political career? Get a divorce from Bill Clinton. That guy is bad news all around. Listen, if you're sticking with Bill Clinton, it's the same thing as sticking by Bill Cosby and then trying to hold public office. Eventually he's going to do something fucking horribly embarrassing, like
horrible,
like a Fat Albert impression. Hey. It's like, dude, get the fuck, go in the background.
I made you drink.
Just like, Bill, would you like to say some words? Oh no, please. He doesn't have his writers here right now. Of course, I'd like to say some words. The one woman I
just shut up, cut off his mic.
Falling down the stairs, saying, "Where am I? Where am I? What the fuck?" Somebody cut the mic.
Hey, Kevin, fast question.
Yeah.
Do you think Cosby took his kids to the dispensary and explained to them about what the different green thing does?
Oh, the dispensary. Do I think that Bill Cosby gave his kids the speech about the birds and the roofies?
Yeah, that's the dispensary,
Maybe. The birds are in the roof because I haven't fixed the hole in the roof, and these are roofies. This is how I got your mom pregnant while she slept. She was a Christian girl, believed that God had her until the baby came out looking like you. And it's like, what's wrong with you, Bill? Stop talking to your kids. Go to jail. Blind bastard. I guess he's blind now. They tried that shit in the courtroom. He says, Your Honor, my client's blind. So, he has to face his accuser. And the judge is like, I mean, you could start with that and everything, but I guess not guilty would be how you're pleading today, sir. Right? Like, that'd be a better idea on how to start. Instead of like, hey,
he didn't see the pill pop into her drink.
Yeah, we're pleading blind and old. Like, that only works when you're white. Blind and old only works when you're white. Sorry, Hugh Hefner. Right? That's a perfect example right there. Hugh Hefner's like, perfect. You know what? Oh my God, I have to die. And then they're like, we can't get him for rape. All right, next one. Next one. What do you got?
Let's move on.
Bill Cosby.
So let's fast forward a little bit, Janice, of course, through your life. And of course, you were married, 14 years, boom, boom, boom. you got to a stall point in your relationship, in your marriage. You call it quits, he call it quits. Was it a mutual agreement? Was it?
I was the one that ultimately said that this wasn't going to work because it was just too much of a dysfunctional relationship at that point. So that was kind of my call, but he was very agreeable to it. So it was very amicable. And like you were saying before, there's something, I think people just have wounds as you grow up and things happen, you're wounded. And so if we don't heal those, we then kind of act from that wounded place. And like that saying goes, hurt people and that kind of thing. So it's like, if you have that perspective, it's a little bit easier to look at someone, I think, with more compassion and just say, certain things happened in their lives that produced these wounds. And so that's kind of how I see the stuff with my ex-husband. I mean, I feel like he's a good guy. We co-parent really well. He is, he's happy in his life, living the way that he wants to live. And now I can live authentic to who I am and how I want to show up in the world. So I feel like that's the win-win, situation in a bad situation, because who wants a divorce, especially the kids? And I mean, it's not like the most fun event of my life.
Oh, of course. And it's not like it's hard. Well, it's easy when it's an amicable agreement, and
Janice,
both parents go their each ways. But when there's children involved, of course, makes everything exponentially more complicated.
Absolutely, Tony. Now, Janice, that wasn't the most fun of your life, you put it that way. Would this count as the most fun of your life right now?
This is amazing. I would say roller coaster quality thrills right here.
Yeah, we have Carl Sagan calling the Podguyz Podcast, and I'm going to quote you right here. It says it right here. A show that I have never watched before. Please stop harassing me. So if that is not a resounding 5 stars right there. We tried to get Carl Sagan, but fuck him, I guess, right? So, dude's over there saying that nobody wants to visit us from space. Yo,
craziness.
You gotta be crazy. So we're getting back, what was like a funner part of your life where you could pop up that memory and say, yep, that was fucking cool? Besides, obviously, the peak of this show right now, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. I would say, so when I realized that all the fears were holding me back, I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk through all of them. So I started with a marathon because I felt like that was impossible to do. I would see these people running it and go, how do people run for 20? Like, how is that even possible? I felt like it was impossible. And I wanted to kind of prove to myself, like, hey, obviously other people do it, and other people do it who are less in shape than I am, and one really cool thing is, as I was running the marathon, I come up to somebody who's blind, who's running the marathon blind, and I start bawling because I'm like, what were my freaking excuses for not doing this? I mean, it was amazing, like such a great experience.
Now, you never know. Maybe they were waiting until they were blind. They were saying, I'll run a marathon when I'm blind. And then they lose their sight and they're like,
I'm ready.
Yeah, they have a nagging wife and says, Carl, I thought you said you'd run that marathon when you were blind already. It's been 2 years. Get out the house.
He had blind expectations.
Yeah, so you can't bring your dog to the marathon. I'm sorry. He's peeing on people. He's not trained. This isn't I've never seen a seeing eye pit bull.
It's horrible when you have a toy dog on a leash.
Yeah. An invisible dog for the blind guy. That's what the Affordable Health Care Plan Act pays for. A fucking leash. You know,
Oh, that's awesome.
healthcare in Florida is provided by solely Disney and no one else. You just go fuck yourself. If you want healthcare, fucking work for Boeing in Georgia. God almighty. Yeah.
Continue on, please.
So marathon, and then I wanted to speak again because, like I said, I had that event in high school, so I stopped speaking. So I joined Toastmasters, started speaking, started doing speaking competitions. I self-published a book. So because of all these secrets of my family and my marriage, I was like,
what is the title of that book, real quick? What is the title of the book?
So I have 3 books, but the very first one was Bits and Pieces of a Broken Heart. Such a happy title.
Aww.
And so that was my.
It should have been titled "My Dad Broke My Heart at a Carl's Jr."
Yes, I actually mentioned Carl's Jr. when I talk about, because it was so impactful. I think the setting of where they told us this information.
At least they didn't have the fucking mouse and then them do like a song and dance at the Chuck E. Cheese about the whole thing. Here, guys, you're gonna work for this 20 today, all right? I need you to do.
It's ironic that you're in the ball pit, kids.
Yeah, right. So Bits and Pieces of a Broken Heart. I'm sure you can find that on Amazon.com, somewhere like that, right?
Yep, it's on Amazon.
Amazon.com.
Second book.
Second book, it was From Broken to Open, a Heart Story. And then my third book this year was Kicking the People-Pleasing Habit, a 6-step approach. Oh my God, it's only 8:30 here. I don't know how you guys are still surviving.
Oh, we've been doing crystal meth for some time now.
Yeah, a long time.
You know,
A long time.
We've pieced it out enough to the point where it doesn't give anybody twitches, except for Sparky down there.
We went from lines of cocaine into just snow-fed mountains.
I don't know. Listen, Janice, I don't know if you know much about cocaine. It gets expensive as all hell. So we had to learn a better way to stay awake and still get the work done. And I think we found the special. It was like a little bit of angel dust, PCP area. But, crystal meth, it really gets a bad rap. It's very easy to make. We used to have a 4th member here. He died of an overdose, crazy, from the crystal meth. But go on, broken to open, and then the 6 steps. 6 steps. Now, we're not going to give away into the steps. It's like it's obviously much more integrated, and it's obviously a lot more than just step 1, step 2, step 3. There's chapters to it, I'm sure.
Give us the bottom 3. Give us 4, 5, 6.
Give us half the steps. Give us half the book.
If you want to find out the top 3 steps, you're gonna have to read the book.
Give us the bottom 3.
You have to start.
Give us the solution backwards and
work your way up. It's called reverse engineering, people. Let's see.
It really is actually.
It's brilliance right here. Brilliance.
I love it. I should have come to you guys when I was putting all this together. Like,
perfect.
Really?
Even better, we're here now. So, you're going to be able to we're going to link these books up to the Podguyz Podcast page on Facebook. You're going to be able to find it on Spotify and everywhere we are. You're also going to be, Janice. And,
also
just
Janice
because,
on YouTube, by the way. Janice
yeah,
on
you can
YouTube.
find her on
Janice
YouTube
Burt.
as well. Like if your book helps anybody out, say it doesn't help anybody out, right? But say it helps out one person and they found it through us or through yourself. Well, what the hell's wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's self-help books. Sometimes the worst thing people can do is stop trying to buy self-help books because they've given up on themselves. And, like they haven't found the right book. They haven't found the right words to help them change their life in a positive way. And maybe your book or one of 3 of your books can inspire somebody else to change their lives around the same way that you have changed your life around there. So
maybe. And as you said before, even if not, the creative process of each human individual, I think, is so important that people like to start creating for the sake of creating, I think is super important to our transformation and evolution and change and growth. And so that was a lot of the reason why I have written things and do all these things, is for the creativity and for myself, basically, for that healing and growing process. So I recommend to anybody, like, create.
As I've heard about 3 million times this year, for people to get over their grieving process, start a podcast.
Start a podcast.
Like you guys are doing. You were creators.
Well, I've never had anybody come up to me and say that a dick joke I told changed their life. You know,
That's
They
true.
never said like, that's when I knew. That's when I knew I had to start doing something different, or anything like that. We at the Podguyz Podcast, we just try to, bring some humor into people's lives, and this might be a way for them to kick back, relax, watch some segments, or listen to some funny stuff throughout the day. Who knows? Especially, if Carl Jr. is out there and you plan on sponsoring, just
And by the way, Carl's Jr., we love you. If you want to be a sponsor, Sparky, where can they send an email to sponsor us? You're shitty at this job, Sparky.
There it is.
There you go. All right.
See, some people pay for graphics and learn how to do technology. We just got a whole human.
Sure, that's true. And if you were coming out of the closet, Carl's Jr. is not the place. Not the place for your kids.
No. Probably not at a Carl Jr.'s.
Yeah, something a little more like,
Private, intimate.
more private.
Yeah. You don't want to be like, hey, kids, we're at the Pizza Hut, and Dad got a salad from the salad bar. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this salad. See what I'm doing there? It's an expression, what I like to do with the salad.
We're going to play categories again.
Yeah. Play charades.
After years of pegging, Sparky, what do you got left? What do you got left in the bank?
After years of pegging, his hips had just worn out. For all the people I hurt, I do not care, but you can send me hate mail to podguyzpodcast.com or call 1-877-799-4X's. Buy shirts at merchbooth.com, of course, or buy a shirt at merchbooth.com. Under podcasts, you'll see the Podguyz Podcast. You can buy hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, boxer briefs.
Folks, it is how we fund our show.
Listen, it's Christmas time, and if you love the person you're with, you're going to get them our stuff. If you hate the person you're with, you're going to want to get them our stuff as a joke, because why not? We are feeding stray cats with all of the proceeds because Tony's wife has an addiction. Big time.
Yeah.
Getting new cats, Janice.
Yeah, she is not in a relationship addiction. She is a cat addict.
How many do you have?
We now have 5.
5, dude. Last week there was 4. This is getting tough right now.
They multiply like overnight, like gremlins.
You get home from a hard day of work, right? You walk up, like gremlins. Wait, feed them at midnight, right?
Yeah.
Dumbest movie possible, It's just like, oh yeah, and it's always like some stereotypical Japanese guy. We were talking before time, Janice. Have you ever saw the Karate Kid? Like when the Karate Kid was getting his ass kicked, and he went up to Mr. Miyagi. He's like, Mr. Miyagi, I've tried all your training. What should I do next? He's like, I don't know. Kick him in the face. It's like, what the fuck? Dude, what are you talking about? Just kick him in the face. That's an illegal move. The
Just kick him right here.
The referee's like, all right, he won. He got kicked in the face over here. He ain't getting up.
I'm done with all this shit.
It's like, of all the metaphors and all the symbolism that's been there, the big one was just like, oh, let's kick him in the fucking face.
Oh, Miyagi-san, you must control your anger. Oh, wax on, wax off.
Yeah. Patience is the key to stuff. And when it is not, you kick him in the face.
Throw all that shit out the window. Violence is the only answer.
Yeah, and normally, and that's all 80s movies. That's all 80s movies were. It was just like, you can't hook up with the hot girl? Well, we're gonna show you the movie.
Beat somebody up for it.
where there's like a date rape going on in Revenge of the Nerds. Fucking 16 candles. They're like,
oh my God,
by
do we
the
have
way,
to go into the meatball series? Porky's.
Meatballs. Yeah, where somehow Bill Murray, by the way, he could be replaced in any role that he's ever done. Bill Murray is just like, he's half balding, telling shitty jokes to a kid throughout the whole entire movie. The whole movie. You ever seen Meatballs, Janice, or no?
Nope.
Vegetarian, right? No. Terrible.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was basically just
Horrible
like a
movie.
stupid. It was a
You got to
stupid
remember, not to say that she lived a sheltered life, but she was a missionary.
I did
Kid.
live a sheltered life. Yes.
My one buddy got married, and we weren't allowed to go to the wedding because it was just that religiously involved. It was only family. And I said, Will, I think he joined a cult, and they just borrowed the name Jesus for whenever the fuck they want to throw it in there, you know. And it's just like, well, wait a second, why do I have to do X, Y, Z? Oh, we found something that works because Jesus said in a book you're not going to read that one day, and there you go. That's why you got to do it. You got to do what we say. Weirdly,
well, let's wrap this up, Sparky, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Let's do this.
Wrap
it up. We're gonna roll out the red carpet for you, Janice. If people are going to find you, how would they find you?
I'm at janiceburt.com or Spanish Janice on social media.
Now, I want to end the show on a good note. Of course, I wanted to get into some Spanish. If you were to teach us any type of Spanish to get us out of a sticky situation, what would that Spanish be as far as please don't send me to jail in Spanish?
No me mande a la cárcel, por favor.
And there it is.
How would you say in Spanish? Now I'm half fluent from working terrible jobs most of my life. How would you say in Spanish? Watch the Podguyz Podcast every Monday at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just throwing it out there.
Tiene que mirar el podcast de los Podguyz. A las que, ya ni me acordé qué dijiste, a las 10 p.m. de la hora del este, por favor.
So for our Spanish audience out there, or any Spanish speaking audience out there, not the Spanish themselves, they are pretty much born crazy people from the area of Spain. When Columbus said he needed one boat, they're like, wait a second, one boat? We'll give you 3, dude. Don't worry about it. We know what you're gonna do with those boats. We're all about it, like pretty crazy between the English, the Spanish, between the English, the Spanish, and the French. A lot of violence going on. A lot of even between when they got bored, they started killing each other. It's just literally, and they had to get a lot of bored. But Tony, we're out, right, dude? I'm
gonna end this show, and we're gonna finish ourselves off like the Renaissance, buddy.
Yeah.
If you were gonna send us hate mail, where would you send it to, Sparky? And where can you listen to us on all your favorite streaming stations?
You can find us at the Podguyz Podcast at gmail.com. But you could also find us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spreaker, Deezer, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Geo Rio, Wise Radio,
Merchbooth.com.
Yeah, merchbooth.com. Well, I mentioned them before already. They got 3 mentions before already. But
along with our website, of course, the Podguyz Podcast.com/ what is it?
/GoDaddy /production
/GoDaddy. Yeah.
There's a lot of slashes going on. It's under construction. Don't go there yet. Don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there yet. We're working
it was constructed, and GoDaddy's like, hey, heard you guys have money. And say, dude,
we're not ready for GoDaddy yet, because the last time we went to Daddy, he told us something bad over a Happy Meal.
That's true. And for another podcast, as they say. Janice, thank you very much for being on our show. Of course, I am Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary.
And the perpetuator. Is that I think that's a good word. Picturesque. Provocateur.
Yeah, I'll give you French today.
The deuce of doodles.
The Prince of Doodles. You are the Prince of Doodles.
What's the
Lace
P in
Sparky.
Pictionary? The I in illustration.
I'll just learn how to say deuce of doodles in Spanish.
Deuce of
It
doodles.
just sounds bad.
It'll sound nicer.
The deuce of the burrow of deuces.
Yeah. Sparky Los Burro.
Los burros.
Sparky Los Chingas Burros Culo. He's like, nah! You're like,
all right,
I got it.
make sure you like, share down below. Add stars. We have stars.
stars
on
are
Facebook.
cool. What do you got
I
there,
like,
Sparky?
I like
Sparky,
stars.
what do you?
I am
Support the
Doce
show.
Garabatos.
Oh,
Doce Garabatos. That's what I am.
all right.
Muy bien, Sparky. Muy bien.
La deuce of doodles in Spanish. Doce de gatos. Garabatos.
All right, we're done.
Garabatos.
Have a great night. Thanks for watching. Make sure you share, like, stream, share, like, watch everything. Bye, guys.
Bye.